If nothing else, you can't say that gaming culture doesn't have a riotous sense of humor. Year by year, from the publications to the pedestrian, it seems that we in the business of horsing around are always fated to fall victim to far-fetched farce, in an industry where the ludicrous is often certifiable. Who would have believed the hot coffee mod in GTA San Andreas? Who would have believed you could actually have sex in a video game? But hey, it was true. More recently, when the out-of-the-blue trailer for Halo 4 was launched, so too did fans remain reluctant, what also turned out to be a genuine newsflash. The fact is, the nature of gaming media is all too often explosive and reactionary, so gamers tend to get taken for a ride every April the 1st when a respectable online source confirms the holy grail of bulletins. There are tons of great memorable moments of mockery to pick from, but after much deliberation, the following 10 are your har 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 highlights. Lethargy was lifted to another level the day ThinkGeek posted the announcement for this couch potato cornerstone, the Wii Helm. What exactly was this faux device, you ask? Put bluntly, the player strapped Nintendo's Wiimote to a specially fitted helmet, and presto, now you can keep playing while you ate your dinner. Talk about working obesity overtime. Here's a question though, wouldn't the coordination required to move your head and keep the food aligned with your mouth take more effort than just taking 5 minutes and finishing your meal? I guess that's putting too much thought into it. Reportedly, EGM held that by taking out 20 wireframe enemies in Super Smash Bros. Melee's Cruel Melee mode, the Sega Speedster and his fox friend Mr. Miles Tails Prower would become unlocked as playable characters. Now mind you, this was 2002. The glory days of the 90s may have been behind Sega, but the company was still riding the first-party push of the Dreamcast, not yet resorted to third-party development, and so we're still in the console war with Nintendo. I only make note of this because it was about as likely to see Sonic on a Nintendo system as it would be to see Master Chief on a PlayStation or Link on a PC. It's crazy to think that 6 years later, the fantasy would become fact, and the blue ball would make it to the brawl, after all. A 15-year development hell made Duke Nukem Forever infamous as the game that would never see the light of day. And indeed, until September 2010, another decade in the Duke dustbin as vaporware seemed all but certain. Now in that time, there were plenty of hoaxes confirming the return of the hyper-hormoned macho maverick, notably one April Fool's review of the game-by-game trailers, which praised the title as one of the greatest games ever to be released. Yeah, if only we knew the destined result of our longing lust for the lewd and crude. Starcraft fans literally shat their pants when Blizzard announced the Terratron unit, a parody of a Transformer/Power Ranger Megamorph that fuses together from your entire base. Ugh, god, that's great. The virtually invincible mech even came equipped with buzzsaws for arms and cannons that could launch Reaper units. The Terratron is not necessarily a prank, as it did become available in the Galaxy Map Editor, and it's not particularly hilarious, but it makes the list because it's pure, unadulterated awesome. If ever you had prayed for a Legend of Zelda movie adaptation, IGN's fake trailer was bittersweet. It was produced just well enough so to make it believable, but half-assed enough that even if it was real, you knew the movie was gonna be shit. 2 minutes of typical trailer cliches and Ganon just looks ridiculous. Some have argued that we've reached the point where game-to-movie translations have become a redundant afterthought, with advanced graphics and storytelling making games like Mass Effect as cinematic as they're gonna be. It's joke trailers like this that make you hope that contention is true. Back in the day, gaming was a simpler sport. Before the pervasive onslaught of online downloadables, you had a cartridge, you pop it in your machine, you play. Simple. Now in 2006, DLC was still a new thing, and no one wanted to be the guinea pig, charging people for additional content. Quite frankly, they didn't know what to charge for it. Now, that's where Bethesda came in, slapping a $200 Microsoft price point tag onto a bit of flashy plating for your virtual steed in the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion. Yep, roughly $5 for some shiny armor. Even Bethesda knew they effed up, in retrospect anyway, because come April 1st, they announced that all of their Oblivion DLC had been reduced to half price, except the horse armor, which they doubled in a chuckling nod to the naysayers. The greatest part of the prank? The sale was real, so if you were stupid enough to pay $10 for some useless e-gear, you were free to. Electronic Gaming Monthly has abused April Fools like no other print source can ponder. They are legendary for laughs, and consequently more than one of their pranks has made its way onto the list. So let's move on to another piece of lying lore that later turned out to be true. Though unlike Duke Nukem Forever, which turned out to be a flaming pile of penis puns, this is awesome. Okay, so Goldeneye. No doubt you've heard of the 1997 FPS that revolutionized the genre and paved the way for your Halos and CODs of today. Well, in one April issue, EGM noted that you could unlock every predecessing 007 in what was the All Bonds cheat, not including Daniel Craig, of course. Turns out that despite the jest on the magazine's part, using a Game Shark could indeed unlock said likenesses and have you kicking Brosnan ass as Connery. Japanese digital perverts, we salute your creepy appetite for voyeurism. Tecmo is notorious for giving their babes breasts bigger than their damn heads, and hey, we couldn't have it any other way. Cause let's be honest, did anyone picking up Extreme Beach Volleyball actually care about the horrendously boring gameplay? No, we just wanted to see hot women feed each other strawberries and bounce around in bikinis, that's it. Another EGM ploy, in 2003 the magazine claimed that playing the game in less time than was actually physically possible would let you play with the girls topless. Those brilliant bastards took advantage of our fapping fantasies. Well played, EGM. Well played. Okay, it's the final two. Now we're getting epic. Aside from occasionally sitting my toddler ass down to play Toy Bazaar on my parents' old Commodore, the first game that really introduced me to the medium, and definitely my first 3D console experience, was Super Mario 64. No triple jump can master the limits of that platformer's impact. Not only did it help to stabilize what was otherwise to be a dominated and technologically outdated Nintendo 64, I'm sad to say it, but the PlayStation was handing it to the nearly obsolete machine, but it also single-handedly defined the essential experience of this new future in 3D gaming. To spare you the jargon, it remains one of the most important games ever made, if not one of the greatest. In the courtyard, gamers read the pixel problematic plaque on the star statue as L is real, which in fact shoddily reads out Eternal Star. The source claimed that Yoshi wasn't the only cameo Easter egg hidden around Peach's castle, no? Luigi himself was rumored to be playable. Now, if that doesn't give you a hard-on. It was a clever maneuver by Nintendo to pique people's interest in the game. And despite the skepticism, to this day, Goomba geeks worldwide try their best to expose the unlikely. And that's a time-honored testament to how awesome the game and the fandom is. To date, there has only been one bit of April Fool's folklore more steeped in legend, and his name is Shang Long. Devised out of a mistranslation, no character in the history of video games has achieved more mainstream attention and fame who doesn't actually exist. Confused? Shang Long was conjured without official endorsement out of speculation in 1992 by none other than, surprise surprise, Electronic Gaming Monthly. Those sneaky SOBs. Taking advantage of the arcade Street Fighter's wrongfully decoded in-game text, which implies that Shang Long is a person rather than one of Ryu's special moves, EGM's legendary sham of an article wrote that Shang Long was in fact Ryu's master, and that he could only be encountered and engaged via the impossible. The player had to advance Ryu through the entire game without taking a single hit, and once you got to M. Bison, you had to provoke a stalemate by neither dealing any damage to Bison, nor taking any yourself. For 10 tiresome rounds. Only then would Shang Long step in and initiate the ultimate Easter egg of death matches. Now, who in their right mind would even attempt that? All the same, many have tried, and if you did somehow accomplish the incredible task, you would be dreadfully disappointed. Due to a lot of careless journalism that ripped off EGM's alleged unlock without bothering to authenticate it, the simple joke went from modest to mythic, spurning inspired characters like Goken and Akuma in later Street Fighter games. The gag even made a return in the magazine's 1997 edition in the wake of Street Fighter 3. For all the subtle hints of its counterfeit, Shang Long was the Orson Welles radio broadcast for our industry. It fooled us all, and thus earns its spot on the top of our list as the greatest pun and prank in the history of video game publication. We hope you've enjoyed our feature. Stay gaming, guys and girls, stay awesome, and have a happy April Fools.